So last week we talked about my 64 GTO, right? The like by far the nicest thing I've ever owned, the most hyped out thing I've ever owned. But when you're driving a Pontiac 428 with a Muncie 4-speed and a 411 posi on drag radials, you're not driving it every day, especially when you live 70 miles from work. So we got to buy something else. And that's what we're going to talk about on this week's Monday Morning Memory from Pugliese Speed Chat. Now, usually it's the part where we walk over to the book and, show you some pictures and tell you what it reminded me of. Well, I didn't care about this truck. I mean, that sounds terrible, but I didn't. So I didn't take a whole bunch of pictures. In fact, I didn't take any. Maggie just went through all the pictures. She's doing this whole coordination, organization thing, and not one. So this was before, this was 2006. So we had cameras on our phone, but we didn't use them for everything. So I just never thought about it. So since we can't do that, I'm going to give you a bit of a recap. All right. I had the 84 Grand Prix. I got for nothing from my old man. I put a starter in it after I drove it for a year. One spark plug wire. I may have done an oil change, and I put gas in that thing. For 2 years, I drove it 70 miles every day. No issues. I went on deployment. Megan sold it. She hated the car. I probably told her it was okay. Because you always have these ideas. When you go on deployment, you're like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do everything different. Everything's going to be amazing. And within a week, you're back in your old. That's how it goes every time. Trust me. So I said, I bought the GTO right as I got back from deployment, and then realized I didn't really have anything to drive every day because that wasn't it. I mean, who was I kidding? So I said, I'm going to get a little pickup, little beater. And of course, there's Civics, there's, Cavalier, all these cars laying there, and I don't want that. So I want a little pickup because, it's just better, right? First off, you can do some things to them so they look cool. Whereas a Cavalier or Civic, it's, So I said, I'm going to get a truck. Figure a little 4-cylinder 5-speed would be great on gas. I come around to the dump, to the store, haul parts, whatever. You never know what you're going to come across, so you want to be able to pick it up whenever you can. And you'll probably be driving your beater. So it made a lot of sense to me. We looked around for a while. I didn't have the best of luck looking. I wanted a Toyota because the 22 RE, they're all still running somewhere. They outlast the bodies, and that's actually the problem. That's what we found. I looked at a couple of them. Some of them not bad price. One guy had a 22 RE junkyard or graveyard, really, it's probably a better term, in his backyard. Me and my buddy Casey went and looked. I was going to buy this one. It was a mixed match, whatever, and I don't know, maybe I should have, but I didn't, right? I had a budget of, now back then, $1,000 to $1,500. You can get a decent little running truck. And my buddy Jimmy Martin came back around, right? We were stationed together in Oceana. He had a Datsun. Right when they changed it to Nissan, it was an 86 or something like that. It was before the hard body, so I guess it was a 720. 4-wheel drive, 4-cylinder 5-speed. A little bit of a lift. I think it was extended cab. He was a Datsun guy from way back. He had a 72 Datsun when we were trying to lay together. So this one was great, right? And I was all ready to buy it. I had it kind of all worked out. I was driving to his house. He lived about half hour, 45 minutes from me. On the way there, he calls me. Hey, man, I don't want to sell you the truck, but I know you're probably already on your way. So when you get here, we'll talk about it. So I get there, we talk about it. I actually had the truck full. Like that. I guess I was driving Megan's truck, and my father, everybody was with us, and we are gonna like. I was going up there. I think I had to pick somebody up, maybe Megan. I don't remember. I remember this it became a problem that I didn't have another vehicle because we were gonna have to split to fit in two vehicles. What happened was Jimmy went to go take the truck to the store. He had bought a Toyota actually, and he's like, "Well, maybe this Datsun, Nissan, whatever." And he's running to the store. Head gasket goes. He's like, "I don't want to sell it to you." It was still running okay, but he's like, "Man, something." And we're buddies. He didn't want to screw me over. I appreciate it. He ended up giving that thing away for nothing, pretty much, because well, he had some other problems with it too. These things happen. Older truck. So I'm back looking again. I come across a 1988 Dodge Dakota. 4-cylinder, 5-speed, 2-wheel drive, short bed, single cab. Not a bad looking truck. It was white, two-toned with like was it white on the bottom and gray on the top or vice versa? Very, very, it was like a very light gray, silver or something. You could barely tell it was a two-tone, but it was. I want to say it had a gray interior. I could be wrong. But there was something wrong with the carburetor. Guy wanted like $1,200 for this thing. I talked him down to $1,000. It ran great. If it started right up, no problem. But it had to stay above 1,000 RPM or something like that, or it would die. So it was one of them weird. It was an 88, probably like the last year of carburetor on them trucks. So it had all electronic crap, all the stuff we dealt with the 84 olds that we had. And that was a pain in the ass. So it's okay. Let's, whatever. No big deal. He was a Dodge guy. He had a Dodge van. He had a Dodge truck. His wife drove like a Dodge, I don't know. Nice guy. Super nice dude. Oh, totally honest with me. The truck was super solid and really clean. He had some very terrible hubcaps on it, like these Dodge, I don't know. Early 80s Dodge hubcaps were awful. They were on it. I think it had white walls on it. But it's, you know what, whatever. I'm just beating around this thing. I don't care. We bought it. It passed inspection. We started driving it. I had every plan of not doing anything, right? Like I wasn't trying to put wheels on it. I wasn't trying to do anything like that. I just wanted to drive it and work on the hot rods. That was the plan. And it was working out pretty well until I'm going to work one day. Guys, this is funny. Just a little sidebar right quick. You had all these badass cars, right? And you have some cool stories with them, but the craziest stuff happens when you're driving the beater. Every time, you know? So I'm going to work. I used to take the back roads from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, up to Virginia Beach, Virginia. It was all through Pungo and Moyock and Chesapeake and all these other roads that people don't know about. You're driving past people's houses the whole time. It's just all back roads, right? There are animals out there. Back then, I drove a little faster than the speed limit. And we were, I was probably late for work. Because that would happen every now and then. But actually, you know what? I don't think I was. That's besides the point. I was hauling ass on this back road, right? I come up off of one just as I got to Virginia. I'm in Virginia for like 5 minutes. I forget what road it was, but there was a river park on this road. And I'm getting it. And I see a deer, corner of my eye, right? I remember standing on the clutch and the brakes, just trying to stop this thing with everything I had. And I just smashed this deer. Just crushed this thing. It's actually sliding next to the truck as I'm skidding. I'm trying not to. It didn't make it, guys. Sorry. If you're a deer lover, that's unfortunate. If you love to eat deer, you're in luck for the rest of the story. So I get this thing stopped. I get to the side of the road. There's this coolant, right? I'm like, yep. Pop the radiator. We're done. So I pull my little flip phone out and Ugats, nothing. I got no bars, and I'm like, because I'm in the middle of nowhere, guys. I'm in the freaking woods, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at this thing. I'm listening to the coolant just rush out of this thing. There's a deer laying there next to it. You know, he's probably a little little bit more pissed off than I am, but you know, I'm like, man, honestly, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning, right? I was like, man, and there's nobody gonna come through there. Then I hear, whoa! I'm like, the hell? I turn around, my buddy Brandon, in his '02 WS6 Trans Am, heading home. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, he worked in the squad room. I mean, he was actually a QA guy, and they lost a tool. So if you lose a tool in aviation, you don't go nowhere till you find it, or the next shift comes in. Those are your options. I believe that they found it. I don't remember that part of it, but I remember that he's like, "Yeah, that's what's up," and I was like, "Okay, cool. Sorry for you, but sweet." So I jump in the car with him. We go home. He takes me to my house. He's like, "What do you want me to do, man? You want to borrow my car? You want to do this, want to do that?" And I was like, "Nah, you know what? I gotta go back. I gotta get the truck, get the trailer, come pick this thing up. We'll figure it out." As we're driving, so we got a signal. I called my leading petty officer, and actually no, I didn't, because I was the leading petty officer. I must have called my chief, whoever. I called somebody, and they knew I wasn't going to be in that day, right? So as we pull into my driveway, which is about 40 miles away from where the accident happened, I see Chip's Lumina. And then I remembered that he had Megan's truck, the Dodge Ram. The only thing I had that could tow something. Son of a bitch. Okay, so I called Chip. "Hey, man, you at the house, dude?" Because he lives about 15 minutes from me. "Oh, no, man, I'm up in Oceana. In Virginia Beach, he's on Bobby's boat." He's about to get on the boat. And I said, "Man, I need the truck, dude." And he's like, "Oh, sure, yeah, man, no, I don't, yeah, whatever, man. How can I get it to you?" So he leaves the keys in the gas tank. You open the door, put them in there, and he went out fishing. I drove the Lumina up to Virginia Beach, dropped it off, put the keys in there, jumped in the truck, drove back to my house. Actually, no, I take that back. I drove to Chip's house because he had the trailer. That's why he had my truck. His rodeo broke down, and it was still in my trailer. So I hooked the trailer up. I pushed the rodeo off. I get in the truck. I want to say, I drove up in Lumina. I want to say Jimbo was with me, because when I drove up there, I remember stopping by. Yeah, he was like, "Hey, why don't you stop by the truck and make sure everything's all right?" Well, the game warden was there and all these people, right? They're like, "Hey," I had the truck on the side of the street. I was actually blocking the entrance to that river park, because it's the only way to get the truck off the road was in that entrance. So I was trying to be a good citizen. So like, "Hey, we're about to tow it, man. I'm glad you showed up when you did." So it still ran. I drove it in there. I parked it in there. And I was like, "Well, what about the deer?" It's back there, like, "We got it, buddy." Yeah, they got it. So yeah, they ate good for a while, because it's a good sized deer. But so then we went and got the truck, went back to Chip's house, got the trailer, headed back up to Oceana. Well, that was actually Chesapeake, I believe. Got the put the truck on the trailer, towed it back home, and it's okay. Then Megan found an ad that night for something she wanted to buy. We drove back to Chesapeake, bought that, and drove that home that night. And I'm not going to tell you what that is yet, but it's pretty cool, and you're going to want to stick around for a future memory to hear about that one. This one ain't over yet. All right. So we get the truck back to the house. Everything's kind of back to, where it needs to be ish. Megan's like, how you getting to work? And I said, well, I'll either drive the GTO or I'm going to drive your new purchase. And I did those for a couple of days. Now, I told you the carburetor was kind of messed up, and I didn't care. It wouldn't even stay running anymore at this point in the game if you let off the gas. So I found, I want to say it must have been online or maybe in a green sheet because we're still like half and half at that point. You could buy this carburetor online. You bought it off of them. You know, nobody local had one. You couldn't find it. Nobody cared about this thing. This one company, there's like one guy in his basement just tinkering, building these things. So I sent him my carburetor. He sent me a rebuilt one that ran good-ish, really rich. But the carb seemed, everything else, he just dialed everything in. I actually sent it back to him once, and he sent it back again. He's like, dude, it's perfect. I don't know what's going on. So when I smacked that deer, something else got knocked out of whack. I put a radiator in it. I think I found a grill at the junkyard or something like that. I straightened everything up. It looked just as good as it did before. Now, if you looked inside, you could see where things were mangled, and I beat the crap out of stuff, but you walked up to it. It actually looked pretty clean. I lost a hubcap that day, too, which I wasn't mad about because they sucked. I didn't put wheels on. I think I bought some AutoZones or something. It made them look... I just wanted to look clean so I didn't look like a chimoke driving around, but I kind of did. Like I said, it ran okay. I went on another deployment. I wasn't even home a year. So I came home from deployment on Andrew's birthday, November 19th of 2006. And then 2007, I was back on deployment again. So it wasn't like that huge of a deal. I only had this truck for about a year. But when I was on the 2007 deployment, I got orders back to China Lake. At this point, we had about, the count was ridiculous, guys. 19.6 in my head, but I don't think I had that many cars, but it was in the teens, right? And Megan had gotten rid of that Dodge, which we'll talk about that in a future one as well. I had no truck. I had this Dodge, which I couldn't do anything with, which is basically like a Neon with a bed at this point in the game, right? So I found what I was going to buy. Beautiful, beautiful rig. And we'll talk about that on a future one. But Andrew used to love driving this little Dodge, right? So he was 6 to 7 years old at this point, and I let him shift. My dad used to do it for me. He had a little Toyota pickup, and I'd sit in the passenger seat, and I'd shift gears with him. And so Andrew would do the same with me. He'd ride that thing, he'd shift gears, downshift. He was great. He had it all figured out. So I'm trading this thing in. It's about 2 hours away. And it was funny, the guy, we negotiated over the phone. What are you going to give me for this trade? I told him it ain't worth nothing. He said, I'll give you $1,000. That's what I paid for it. I am mad about it. It cost me, well, just the damages I caused to drive that thing for a year or so. So, yeah, fine. I got to get it there. And every time, that carb, guys, it would look longer and longer to start. It would die at the intersections. It was like, oh, man. A lot of it was back roads in North Carolina, so a lot of stuff. It was bad. So I'm following Megan because she refused to ride in it. I said, we're going to come back and sell the truck. She's like, I ain't riding that thing. No way. If it don't make it, we'll just leave it on the side of the road and go get your new truck. She always has my best interests at heart, you know? So me and the kid are in it. And I remember talking to my dad, too. I think Andrew was holding the phone. And we were talking back and forth. It was a good time. It was this whole thing, and we'd every time we stopped, it'd die. And Andrew's like, ugh. I was like, we'll be all right, buddy, and we keep going, and we finally got it going. So we're a block from the dealership. All right, Andrew's tired of shifting at this point in the game because he just wants to be done with it. We get, thank God it was downhill. It dies at a light. I can't get it to start. No matter what I do, it won't start. So this is luckily before they had like the neutral safety switch, at least on this truck. So I rode the starter to get to the peak of that hill, threw it neutral, and we coasted down there. The dealership was right there on the right-hand side. I coasted right in there, parked it, got out, took the keys with me, went and looked at this other truck, drove it, And he's like, oh, let me check out your other one. I said, oh, it's over there. I said, you have the keys? Oh, where are the keys? We can't find the keys. Oh, then I didn't. Oh, whatever. He looks at it. He's like, well, it made it here, so it must be worth something. We did the deal. I left it in a new truck. And guys, I doubt that thing ever started again. Without them doing some serious maintenance, they probably wholesaled it for about $30. And it might be one of the only times I actually got over on a dealership. But that was it. My 1988 Dodge Dakota. 2-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, 5-speed, short bed, single cab. It could have been a cool truck if I just cared about it. If I found a picture of anything that resembles it, the kid will have put it up a couple times by this point in the game. If not, just use your imagination. Thanks for watching, guys.